Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Macon-Bibb County Board of Commissioners pre-commission. Today is Tuesday, April the 16th, and the time is now 5:04. I'd like to welcome everyone here today. We'll begin our meeting with a call to order, and then we'll move on to new alcohol beverage licenses. New alcohol beverage licenses, we have 3 of those tonight. Item 3A is a Landry's LLC doing business as T&J's Bar located at 6351 Zebulon Road, Suites A and E. You can see that picture there is a location that we're familiar with. I think it's been several different things over the years, and they've met all the legal and statutory requirements to get a license, and this is a new business, so at this time we'd entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Wilder, we have a second. Second by Commissioner Wynn. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item 3B is Hilltop 001 LLC, doing business as Valero Food Mart located at 3109 Hillcrest Drive, Macon, Georgia. Likewise, they have applied for a license there as a new owner, and they met all the legal and statutory requirements, including the certificate of good standing, and legal recommends approval. I'll make that motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second, who is that? Second by Ms. Bailey. Any questions regarding that? Hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda unless otherwise removed. Item 3C is Mercer Village Pizza. This is doing business as Mercer Village Pizza located at 1635A Montpelier Avenue. We're also familiar with that site. This is a new business, and they met all the legal and statutory guidelines and local good standing to be open. At this time, we entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Bronson, second by Commissioner Wynn. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Commissioner, I did neglect to say we will have a need to go in executive session, so when we get to that time, we'll take a brief break for that. Going to move on to item 4, which is supplemental appropriations. We got several of those tonight. Item 4A is an ordinance Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize a supplemental appropriation of $2 million from the Sheriff's Commissary Fund balance for the purpose of purchasing additional magnetic lights and other improvements to the jail. Thank you for being here tonight, Sheriff. The Sheriff had sent some information over to her earlier. Approximately $1 million of this, which is already in the funds, by the way, $1 million will be used for remaining locks in the jail. An additional $1 million will be in contract services, including plumbing, electrical locks, and sealant and other repairs at the jail. Like I said, this $2 million is already in his account. This is just moving money so it can be satisfied that the expenditures that we mentioned there. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Wilder, second by Commissioner Jones. You have a question, Ms. Lucas? Or did you make a second? Oh. I have Wilder and everybody else. Is anybody that don't want to be part of that motion?
Yeah, I had a question.
Got a question? Yes, sir. Go ahead, Commissioner Watkins.
So, I'm curious, as part of the bigger whole, we've made a few upgrades to the locking systems now over the past couple of years, and I'm sure that's taking effect on the safety. I guess my greater question is, how much would it take in the current facility to have it completely up to date, safe, clean? Like, this $2 million is part of a plan of a greater whole, or?
I don't know that anybody has the answer to that question, but I think this gets the sheriff further along on making sure that the jail that he's currently operating is secure, especially those in relation to the locks. We haven't done any estimates or studies that I'm aware of on a complete overhaul for the jail to determine what that would be, if that's what you're asking.
It was. But I guess also even to the locks, though. I guess because, again, we've been requested several times on a piecemeal, and I erroneously thought the first time we approved millions of dollars worth of locks that was 100% of the locks. So does this conclude the lock project, or at least what percentage of conclusion of changing all the locks does this put us at?
Okay. I believe it was done in stages, and they did certain areas over there because they have to move inmates from place to place that before. This, I don't think will complete the project in its entirety, but it does replace all the locks that have not been replaced as of yet. So I'm not sure if the sheriff will be coming back before us again to ask for some additional funds or through the CIP to finish any remaining areas as they may come up. But I think this gets pretty close to being completed over there. I think these magnetic locks are getting more advanced now. They're better. They're less able to jiggle, whatever you want to call it, but to mess them up with the ways they were being very creative over there to stop the locks from working. And that's why that he wants to do these right here, and they've been doing them in a staged approach.
And I don't know, I got a little confused just then. So are they 100, does this 100% replace all the locks, or 80%, 50%?
I'll let the sheriff answer that question. Thank you, Sheriff. I got your mic on, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner, what these locks are for the old part of the jail. The part of the jail is 44 years old now, and that we had been here before. If you remember, the commission was kind enough to earmark some funds for some renovations and some work on some of the cell doors so that they would not be able to be tampered with. Well, this new type of lock, this magnetic kind of lock, is something that's really only has come into being just within the last year and a half. And it sort of supersedes what we had before. Those other old locks had mechanical parts in them. They had bars that went down that were supposed to close and lock the door. They had mechanical parts to the actual locking mechanism. Every bit of that was subject to wear and tear. Plus, it's subject to someone just coming up and jiggling the door and damaging those components. These new locks with the magnet, when that door is closed, it is closed and it is secure and it is stable. That's the biggest thing that these magnetic locks give us over the ones we had before. Even the other ones, the mechanical locks, had some play, and if you play with it enough and jiggle it enough, you can make it, you can damage it or cause it to come off track or go out of its slot to where it's supposed to be. But these magnetics, when they're closed, and you cannot move that door. There's thousands of pounds of pull on the lock, so you cannot move the door. And so it's been very successful for us. The ones that we have implemented, when we close the door, it stays closed. And so we're replacing those locks throughout the old part of the jail. The locking mechanisms in what we call the new part, which is almost 20 years old now, those are still serviceable. They're still working. Every once in a while we'll have one that we have to work on. But the ones that we're mainly concerned with and what these funds will be for are for those locks in the old jail to make those doors completely secure.
Okay, and just so I'm tracking the series of events, 44 years ago, we installed some locks. Recently, in the last 3 years, we installed version 2.0. And now we're installing with this version 3.0, which is magnetic. Am I tracking that correctly?
I think that in simple terms, I think that's a pretty fair description. You know, when the jail was built, it was built with what was the technology of the day. 44 years ago, almost 50 years ago, when that jail was first started being constructed, that was what they did. A few years ago, we came back. There were some modifications made to the doors themselves. There were some plates welded to the doors and some things done to the doors themselves, which make them more difficult to tamper with, which make them more difficult for somebody to sort of jimmy the lock or mess up the mechanism. But then you still had the old mechanical lock that had several components to it. You had the latch that closed the door. You had another bar that came down in the within the door itself that basically went into the ground to keep the door from opening. Well, you can imagine after 44 years of getting jiggle, the bottom part gets worn out, the latches start getting worn out. So now we've replaced all of that with this magnetic piece. This electromagnetic. It's all done. The doors work through a electric push button to disengage and engage the lock. So yeah, this is something that, I wish maybe 3 years ago when we were here and we did this some of the locking mechanism then. If we'd have had this capability, we would have probably put it in then. But this is something that we were approached by a company about a year and a half ago that they had just developed this technology and this way of doing it, and it's really worked for us. And I look for, there's been other jails throughout Georgia that have come down and looked at our locking mechanisms to perhaps implement it in their facilities also.
And so I'm tracking on the locks. I'm tracking on the locks. That clears it up for me. Is there a phase that you can anticipate where we will be installing the magnetic locks in the newer 20-year-old section, or that's not really a necessary thing?
I would never say it. I never say never, but as right now, as the way those mechanisms are working, they're 20-something years newer. The components, you can buy parts for them. It's easier to fix them, and we've not really seen the problems of somebody tampering with the doors on those. What you have in the old jail, you have sliding barred gates, and the other doors you have opening and closing cell doors, kind of like what you would have in your house. It's just certain, that's an oversimplification, but it's just a regular door. And so it's a little bit different. Some of those are sliding doors. So the entire locking mechanism and the way they work is altogether different than the one in the old jail.
Okay. Assuming that we've covered with this project, we'll be covered the locking security mechanisms. What are the next major, I guess, task or work orders that you can see that need fulfilling to get the jail to a higher standard?
Well,
Well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, a jail is a place, think of it like this. Think of a house or an apartment complex or a house that a person lives in 24/7, 365. Somebody is living there every single day. Even in a house, most people, you're away from home probably 8, 12 hours a day, so the house just sits there. It's not being used. But this place is being used constantly by somebody, and a lot of times it's being used by people who really don't want to be there and who will try to tear up stuff while they're there. So we're always going to be doing maintenance issues on the jail, and we have some air conditioning projects that we're doing now to get, to make sure the air is cleaner and that the climate is as it should be in the jail. So there'll always be some things that'll come up that we need to be working on going forward. And those, as long as we have this place, as long as you have any kind of facility like that, there's always going to be maintenance things. But I do feel like with this particular locking component and this project that we have now, once we complete that, that should satisfy that for quite some time.
So granted, I don't know the jail well, but I've gotten more than a few calls of concerns as it relates to the plumbing system. And I know we've talked about it before in terms of, in some cases, it's an inmate damaging plumbing, and that could be the cause. But like I say, it's something that I've opened my emails and my DMs to mothers crying out over plumbing situations, both, I guess, for the sewage and for shower capabilities. And I can somewhat understand how one person on the right part of the line clogging up a line could damage it for everybody else moving down the line. But that issue of plumbing, is there a space for us to address it, or where do you see that on the tiered list of things to do? And yeah, I'll pause there.
That's fine. When you start talking about plumbing and electrical, and particularly plumbing is something that is integrated into the facility. It's almost like the veins that run through your body. And you can go in there and you can fix there's some pipes that probably every year there's a couple of instances where some of that old sewer lines and some of the drainage pipes collapse just because they worn out and they gotten old. And we'll probably have to spend, $20,000 or $30,000 a clip to replace a section, maybe 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet a section of drainage pipe. Same happens with with pipe that is feeding water into the facility, showers, toilets, all of that. It's an old facility, and all you can do in something like that is to fix it as it tears up. There's really no way you could go in there and redo all of the plumbing and all of the sewer lines and all of the drainage lines, just because, as I said, it's built into the facility. It's like somebody says you have think about it, we talk about a blocked artery in a heart. What do? You go in there and you find another vein and you fix that. You're not going to replace everybody's veins in their body because they have one blockage. That's what we faced with in the jail. We have to replace where it's torn up. The only way you're going to fix that globally is a new facility, and we've already talked about that, and that's down the road and something that we will discuss. But right now, we are just keeping the place functional for as long as we can, as best we can.
Thank you for that. And my assumption is that the plumbing also, there's a noted difference between the older section and the newer section, or system failure happens.
I mean, we fix it as it happens, and all of those funds, and we appreciate, your approval of this budget move, but all of this money comes from basically the inmates. It's what we call the commissary fund. It's money that they spend for goods that they buy in the jail store, some of the phone revenue, some of the other funds that we get that are earmarked for the inmates. So really, we're using the money that they raise to help fix where they live.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Sir, no problem. Any other questions?
Yes.
Chloe?
Citizens that would like to know, with these new particular locks, in the event that there is an emergency, could you explain to us how those locks would kick in and be different than the locks that we presently have?
That's a very good question, and that is something we talked about when we started putting these locks in. They work very similar to the locks that we had before. There's a control panel within the control station where the deputies operate. They have the capability of opening the doors and releasing the locks on every one of the cells so that everybody can get out at once, so that so we can get folks out. The doors that get out to the backside to where if there was a fire or an emergency, we evacuate to the back out into the exercise yards. We could evacuate them to the front, which would take them into the other parts of the jail. But if you have a fire, you want to get folks out. And so all of that's been taken into consideration, where those doors will open quickly and operate just like the old ones did. They'll open, the doors will slide open, and a person can get out, quickly in case of an emergency.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you for that, Sheriff. We do have a motion and second. If there's no further questions regarding this item, we'll go ahead and take a vote. So all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries unanimously, be sent to consent agenda. Thank you, Sheriff, for being here today. Item B is the ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $70,000 from the general fund balance to the Board of Elections contract labor. These contractual services line items for the purpose of funding temporary workers for the Board of Elections, since we have an election coming up. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion for approval. Commissioner Bronson, second by Commissioner Lucas. She was looking at me first, but she didn't talk first. So any questions or concerns? Anybody follow up on this particular Commissioner Mayor Pro Tem
Is there
Clark?
anybody here from the Board of Elections? I don't think so.
No.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. There's no further questions related to this item. We'll take a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. Item 5A is an ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize various interdepartmental budget transfers with the code enforcement, information technology, tax assessors, facilities management, Board of Elections, and Public Works Department budgets. This is something we do toward the end of the year for the end of a budget. You should have attached to your, this ordinance here, a complete breakdown of each of the departments and where the money is being transferred to and from. Hope you had a chance to review those, and this is just usual and customary for our budget. So this time, I entertain a motion for approval of the transfers within the budget. Motion by Commissioner Wynn. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Jones. Question from Commissioner Watkins.
Yeah, I was just curious, are there any new or noteworthy projects or initiatives that have been supported through these moves, or? No?
These are just transfers. Most of them are contractual services or small items within there, or maybe some overages in the department. These are not new items. It's just
Nothing to
tightening up
get
the budget.
excited about, no new work is gonna come from code enforcement or cut some grass or nothing like that?
Well, I think we just done some contractual services and things for our public works, but this is just some overages for overtime, because I think they've been working on the weekend a little bit for cleaning up dumps and
I can
things of that
understand.
nature. Okay? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Yeah.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. Item 6A is special purpose local option sales tax. This is a resolution of Macon-Bibb County Commission to approve the 45th Amendment to the 2018 SPOS project timeline budget as presented by the SPOS project manager. At this time, we entertain a motion for approval. A motion by Commissioner Jones. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Wynn. Any questions regarding this item? Hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent agenda. Item B is a similar item. This is the ordinance of Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the appropriation of up to $7,811,739 from the 2018 SPOS proceeds to be allocated to SPOS projects as specified herein. These are things that were already approved in the budget, and it's already timely, and you've got each of those items attached to the projects that we're doing there. And we're just asking for you to approve it so we can get started on some of those, and you saw some of the pictures there on the screen. So this time, we entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Bronson. Is that what I heard? Okay. Commissioner Watkins, you got a question, sir?
It wasn't clear to me, and my wheel is spinning. Does this include the work for the parks and stuff we've been discussing? Is that part of this?
No, sir. Only for Fillmore Thomas Park, I think it's about $350,000. All the others, we've already moved that forward. I did check on that pursuant to your question at the last meeting, and right now, since that's a professional services, they're getting with the architect and engineers to come back with a scope of work to complete the projects at Fillmore Thomas, Memorial Gym, and Frank Johnson Recreation.
Engineer, scope of work. Okay, all right.
We were not required to do an RFP on that, and I think some of those had already been done by previous, so it would help expedite the process. Thank you, sir. We have a motion and second? Okay. We have a motion and second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Item 6C is the ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission to authorize the appropriation of up to $1,093,364 from the 2018 SPOS proceeds to be allocated to SPOS projects as specified herein. This time, we entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Clark, second by Commissioner Jones. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Sorry, Mr. Watkins.
I'm sorry, and I was just curious on what's different on these two numbers to cause them to be split.
I think one of them was a move in the guidelines, and the other one, go ahead.
No,
Different funds.
You're correct. Keith Moffitt, interim IT director, is correct. We moved up in the timeline. I saw a need to go ahead and update some computers. And so we had to, your first one was to move money up in the timeline and the IT upgrades. And this is the appropriation for those computers, some radios for the sheriff and fire, and for some server upgrades.
Okay, and we're at the point now where we're so flush with cash with the SPOS where we're moving projects up without having to move things back. Am I thinking about that correctly?
We're ending the near the collection funds because we collect them early. So most of those we've already moved up to the front, in particular the recreation, to try to close out some of these projects. But yeah, we're no longer having to drop things down.
So I was curious about and I know we have a timeline that spreads us out to 2020, I don't know, multiple years when it comes to the road improvement stuff. With us doing so good on the dollars and the streets and the request for people requesting their pavings, is it possible that we could reduce that window? I think it was a 4 or 5 year window that we approved. Is there a scenario where we could cut that down some?
Well, we're currently taking the roads program year by year. We're finishing up year 23. We are applying for 2 LMIG for year 24. The governor has announced that there will be additional LMIG money that we would not have to do a match. So we have to have that application in by, I think, June 30th. So I met with engineering on today to try to start putting that list together based on that criteria that we had. So we are still taking it, finishing up LMIG 22, LMIG 23, General Fund 23, and now we are putting together the 2 lists for LMIG, the original LMIG 24, and now the additional LMIG 24. So we have a lot of roads that are in process.
Right. So, and I guess if I, like you name it like LMIG 22, and it gives me the false confidence to think that that's work that's already occurred.
It
But
is.
is already complete. We've
Correct.
paved those roads.
LMIG 22 is complete, and then we had to go back, and once you complete the project list, based on the final costs, if there's whether overrun or what we hope is an underrun, which it came in under budget, we're able to go back and add a road to that list. So they're evaluating if we can go back and add a road to that list. So that's what we're in the process now of seeing what the final costs were for LMIG 22 and General Fund 23. And the reason why they're kind of off is because it takes time with the LMIG process, and then with General Fund, we was able to go ahead and do it immediately.
And I guess, because it seems as though like a year ago we approved 4 years worth of street list. Am I thinking about that correctly?
Yes.
Is it possible to, instead of that being a 4-year window, so how long with that 4-year window in your mind, we've got another 3 years before those streets get paved?
2, by the time we apply for LMIG 24, it takes the application this year, approval.
So excuse me, not the LMIG projects, but the projects that we've been funding out of general fund and
Oh,
SPLOST?
they should be done this year. The general funds one should be done this year. So, but the LMIG is what takes about a 2 to 3 year window by the time you apply, and then we let it out for bid and everything. So that is the hesitation there. But the general fund ones, once y'all approve the ones that we did in what we call General Fund 23, those roads are in process now.
Okay, so, and for the years of 24 and 25,
It just depends on when we get the approval back from the state, and then we put them out to bid and get that price, and then come back and appropriate the matching funds with the first LMIG. And I say the governor has announced a second LMIG, then we go ahead and what they call let those out. And when they would let them out, then that's assign them to contractors, and contractors do the work.
okay. Is there, and it sounds like you're saying that, is there a space for us to use the moving up of timeline concept to increase the number of roads that we're gonna pave in 24 and 25?
Not with the LMIG. You have to go through the application process.
Well, yeah, not with the LMIG. That's what I
Well,
was saying with the general fund and
Well, we have
SPLOST
not-
dollars that is there a space for that?
We've not presented any more general fund roads at this time, because we wanted to go ahead and true up with the LMIG roads to see which ones would be, to do the LMIGs. And then once we get that list finalized and approved, then we'll come back and present you with an additional road list, which we call the general fund list.
I think I know what Commissioner Walker, I'm not sure there's any money to move up any further on the road since we've been doubling up on some of the roads, but we can check and see what any balances is. What I can offer to you is that we have a lot of roads that's about to be paved just as soon as they can go through their process of getting approved and actually having the work done. 2025 is a new SPLOST year renewal, and we'll be talking about, after the elections, we'll be talking about the possibility of placing a lot more money into the roads. It would make more sense to use SPLOST dollars, since a lot of that money comes from out of town, than to continue to use our general fund property tax dollars on there. But I'm not aware of any funds we can move up that we haven't already done so, except for perhaps a couple of projects that may not actually work for the state that we allocated funds for. I do know we have a lot of shortage as well, because I know the one project in particular, the Bass Road project, our percentage of that project, which we will meet at the appropriate time, has almost tripled from the initial figures that we received. So I think all that will be addressed in the next SPLOST, but I don't think there's any money we can move forward to do anything any quicker right now.
You understood what I was trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think we did take a vote, but we'll do it out of abundance of caution. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. All right, the motion carried. I will give you another update on the Rosa Parks project. That project has been placed out there for bid, so there's a meeting that'll come up for a pre-bid meeting in a couple of weeks, and that's scheduled to expire on the 23rd of this month, of May 23rd. I'm getting ahead of myself. May 23rd. So on May 23rd, we should have all bids in to be ready to select the person to go forward with that project since we funded that last time. So I just want to give you an update on some good news on that. We're going to move on with item 7A, which is contracts and purchase orders for approval. This is a resolution of the Macon-Bibb County Commission authorizing the issuance of a purchase order in an amount of $116,936 to Surtex USA LLC for the purchase of cables for Lake Tobisafi Dam to be paid from Tobisafi Recreation Funds, dam improvements, line item. This is the final completion of that work for the cabling, at least a permanent fixture of that work for the cabling there. There's still other work that needs to be done there, but this time we'd entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Commissioner Wilder. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Jones. Any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries and will be sent to consent agenda. Our final item before the executive session is installation and dedications. This is an ordinance of Macon-Bibb County Commission dedicating the portion of Plant Street running between Jeff Davis Street and Mercer University Drive to Pastor Charles Jones in honor of his significant contributions to Macon-Bibb County and appropriation funds and not to exceed $500 in the purchase of signage. Commissioner Bronson, that's your motion?
Yes, sir.
Can we get a second? Second by Commissioner Lucas, and Commissioner Bronson, I'll hear anything further from you, sir.
Yes, sir. I want to say thank you for that. So Pastor has done a lot of great things coming out of the Bellevue area, which is where I grew up at. And he had this initiative he called it, because of the drug issue that they had during that time frame, was called Down with Dope and Up with Hope. And that's one of the initiatives that he did to basically fight against drugs in the area. And because of that and a number of other organizations and things he was a part of, we got to pay tribute to the fact that he was brought up to the White House to be recognized by then President Bill Clinton, which was a great thing from Macon, Georgia on that end. And so many other cities have utilized that platform and utilized that program as kind of like the base, the cornerstone of how they operate when we start talking about different programs that fought against drugs and the use of drugs in the lives of our kids. So this is a great deal on that end, and I'm just happy to have that opportunity to pay recognition to him. Also, in saying that, I do want to ask for co-sponsorship from Commissioner Lucas and Commissioner Watkins, being that we basically split that area as well. So if you'd be so kind.
Sure, anybody like to make that certainly would be good. I didn't know he coined that phrase. I thought it was Jesse Jackson that said that.
No. Can we all get along?
I'm pretty sure it was Jesse Jackson. Commissioner Lucas, do you have anything, bro?
Yeah, I'm happy to serve as co-sponsor, and I understand that Pastor Jones is in poor health.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I think, and I I was honored to serve with him for a lot of years, and he provided a lot of interesting, and that's the word. He's a very interesting and comical man. But I just think on things like this that we ought to all form the habit of co-sponsoring as a whole when we pay tribute. We create history when we do this. And so we all need to be a part of that. So I would just urge us all to sign on as co-sponsors.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. We'll place everybody as a co-sponsor of that. If you don't want to be, you can let Ms. Ross know and she'll remove you from that. This does end our regularly scheduled business, but we do have a need to go into executive session. I'm sorry, we didn't vote? Thought we did. We got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. There you go. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Now we need a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of consultation with our attorneys from legal counsel to discuss pending or potential litigation, settlement claims, and all the others allowed by law. We got a motion to approve. Got a motion by Commissioner Howell, second by Commissioner Jones. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. We're now in executive session. Get a motion to come out of executive session? Got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. We are out of executive session, and that completes our business here for this committee of the whole meeting. Now, good afternoon and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Macon-Bibb County Board of Commissioners regular meeting. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. Today is Tuesday, April the 16th, 2024, and the time is now 6:10. I'd like to welcome everyone here. We're calling this meeting to order like we always do. We're going to begin our meeting like we always do with a prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So those of you that can and will, please stand and bow your heads. And Commissioner Raymond Wilder from District 6 will do our prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Dear Lord, we just want to take this time to thank you for this day and thank you for this opportunity to be in here in our city hall conducting our Macon-Bibb business. We just ask you, Lord, to enter this meeting with us, be in our hearts and our minds, and lead us and guide us to do things for our county, for our constituents, that would give glory to you. We just ask you, Lord, to be with us through this meeting. Keep us all safe on the road home. We just thank you for all these things. In Jesus' name.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. We do have a couple of presentations this evening, and our first presentation will be part of our district attorney's office. So this is the Georgia Crime Victims Compensation Survivors Award to Dr. Sylvia Rose Brown. So at this time, I'd ask you to go to the microphone there. We'll turn that in. Please identify yourself when you get to the microphone and speak into that mic. I'd like to recognize our district attorney, Ms. Anita Howard, and thank you for being here, Ms. Howard.
First, I would like to give honor to our lovely district attorney, Anita Howard, who so selflessly thought that it would be better for the Director of Victim Services to make the presentation for the 2024 Crime Victim Compensation Survivors Award. Although she is the elected constitutional officer, our boss, she always says, it is you and your team who executes the mission. And with that being said, it is my sincere pleasure and honor to also give recognition to our crime victim compensation advocate, Latyra Williams. Latyra took the time and the initiative to nominate someone so deserving, someone who has demonstrated great courage, strength, and perseverance during one of the most devastating times in her life, Dr. Sylvia Rose Brown. Dr. Brown took that experience and vowed to ensure that others in the same situation would not have to feel the way she felt during that time. So she set out to make a difference. She contacted the Bibb County Sheriff's Office, and together they launched a new initiative, the Survivor Care Project, which aims to offer support and comfort to families who experience a loss due to violence immediately following the incident. The Survivor Care Project representatives consist of mental health professionals, victim advocates, and other caring individuals. So without further delay, I want to introduce now my district attorney, Anita Howard.
We are so honored to stand before you. I remember watching Dr. Sylvia Rose Brown come before the mayor and commission. And we often hear from our victims, but what I felt listening to her was something deeper. It was a sincere cry for help, and also a willingness to help herself. And that's what life is all about, is understanding the pain, feeling the pain, but then taking that to help someone else. And so she is the epitome of what it means to be a member of our beloved community. And I'm so thankful for her. I'm also thankful for Sheriff David Davis, because he heard the cry. And we definitely were not going to ignore the cry. And I just want to thank Dr. Sylvia Rose Brown for her courageousness and her willingness to share her story, her experience. And I'm just so amazed at where we are today. And so at this time, we would like to present the award. Then we're going to give her a few minutes to speak. But this is in recognition of Dr. Sylvia Rose Brown, Georgia Crime Victims Compensation Survivors Award, Criminal Justice Coordinating Council 2024. This is a state award, and this year the theme is helping. And we know that with your courageousness and with your transparency and your willingness to be a part of the process, you're helping other victims. And I just want to say thank you so much.
And make it a little taller. As we gather, before I start, thank you so much for this wonderful honor and this opportunity to stand before you again and on a more positive note. As we gather tonight to honor and remember, I am reminded of the words for the book of Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 17. Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause for the fatherless, and plead the case of the widow. This verse has guided me as I've navigated through my own journey of grief and advocacy, reminding me of the role we each have in seeking justice and supporting those in their most vulnerable moments. It is with a deep sense of gratitude and humility that I stand before you to accept the Georgia Crime Victims Compensation Survivors Award. That's a mouthful. This honor is not just a recognition of my individual efforts, but it is a testament to the resilience and courage of all victims of violent crime who strive every day to overcome their pain and their trauma. First and foremost, I must pay tribute to my late husband, Matt Brown, whose faith and belief in me transformed me into the advocate I am today. His spirit and love continue to guide me, and though his absence is deeply felt, his influence is everlasting. I also want to express my profound gratitude to my parents, and my dad is here with me tonight. They instilled in me the vital importance of speaking up for those who cannot stand on their own. Their teachings have always been my guiding light, directing me to use my voice in defense of others and to advocate for those silenced by violence. This award is as much theirs as it is mine. Heartfelt thanks also goes out to Ms. LaTara Williams, whose steadfast support and belief in my work made this possible. Her dedication to victims' advocacy is inspiring, and I'm profoundly grateful for her nomination. And this award symbolizes a pivotal moment in my journey, a journey that took a new path the day I decided to turn my grief into action. Partnering with the Sheriff's Department, the Southern Center for Choice Theory, Matt's parents, and so many wonderful others, we were able to launch the Survivor Care Project that's been one of the most significant steps in this journey. Together, we worked to provide immediate counseling and support to victims, addressing their needs in real time and helping them start their healing process amidst the darkest hours. Our work is far from over. Each day we strive to educate, empower, and uplift others who have been silenced by violence. We advocate for prevention, support recovery, and a fight for a world where the rights and dignity of every victim are upheld. Receiving this award during National Crime Victims' Rights Week is especially meaningful. It serves as a powerful reminder of our collective responsibility to support those affected by crime, to work towards a society where such support is no longer necessary. In closing, I dedicate this award to every survivor out there. Your strength is unmatched, your resilience is inspiring, and your voices are vital. Sorry. Together we will continue to fight for justice and healing. Thank you all for this incredible honor.
Thank you, Dr. Rose Brown. It's going to be hard to follow that tonight. Also appreciate the support of your father here tonight, and that you've done a great job, sir. Yes, sir. We appreciate you being here tonight. And I appreciate your encouragement and your advocacy. We're going to move on to the next presentation. That's a proclamation recognizing April 28, 2024 to May the 4th, 2024 as National Small Business Week. After this proclamation is read by Commissioner Elaine Lucas, I'd like for all the commissioners to join me for a group picture, as well as Ms. Sharice Merriweather. Commissioner Lucas.
I think they're playing tricks on me these days because they know that I'm only going to serve through December. I am term limited, but I do appreciate all of you, and I do enjoy so very much reading and presenting these proclamations to worthy citizens and on behalf of worthy causes. So thank you for allowing me to do this. This is a proclamation, and Sharice, do you want to come on up? Do you have others with? Okay, you'll, and then we'll all join you.
Ms. Merriweather, if you want to come up front and face
Yeah.
Commissioner Lucas, raise your right hand and repeat after me.
This is a proclamation from the Office of the Mayor, Macon-Bibb County, Georgia, and it reads, whereas the resilience of American small businesses continues to drive America's strongest economic growth in almost 40 years, fostering the competition and innovation that create opportunities for families, workers, and neighborhoods. And whereas small businesses are the backbone of our communities and the American economy, employing more than half of our nation's workers, enriching our main streets, making parts and products in America to fuel our supply chains, building our nation's infrastructure, and innovating and inventing the products of tomorrow. And whereas Historic investments are ensuring small businesses can access federal capital support, technical assistance, contracting opportunities, and other resources to help lead the way as we rebuild America's roads and bridges and build a clean energy economy for the future. And whereas, in collaboration with our Office of Small Business Affairs, which is headed by Ms. Stevens Merriweather, we are supporting small businesses, creating jobs, and our local community is preserving their unique culture and enjoying new opportunities to build generational wealth. And whereas entrepreneurship continues to be one of the best pathways to the American dream, evidenced by the historic small business boom, with a record 16.5 million Americans applying to start a business since January 20th, 2021, including 500,000 last year. And whereas, by renewing our commitment to supporting small businesses, we can maintain our global competitiveness and build a stronger nation where everyone can succeed from the bottom up and middle out. And whereas the President of the United States has proclaimed National Small Business Week every year since 1963 to highlight the programs and services available in entrepreneurs through the U.S. Small Business Administration and other governmental agencies. Now, therefore, the mayor, the Honorable Lester M. Miller, does hereby proclaim, along with his fellow commissioners, April 28th through May the 4th, 2024, as National Small Business Week in Macon-Bibb County. And we all urge all of our citizens to join in and support this national effort to recognize the contributions of small business. Mr. Mayor and others, would you proceed down? In witness whereof, the mayor has hereunto set his hand and caused the seal of our consolidated government to be affixed, and it's done today in honor of National Small Business Week. I'm going to present this to the mayor to present to Ms. Sharice Stevens Merriweather on behalf of a very grateful Macon-Bibb government. Thank you.
And just briefly, I do want to thank the Commission and Mayor Miller for all you've done. We have a renewed partnership with the state of Georgia. We're actually in their latest report. And when the federal government is asking you to send a picture because they're proud of the work you're doing locally, you do that. So thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Okay, we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes, which is item 5. This is the approval of the minutes from the April the 2nd, 2024 meeting. Can I get a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Bronson. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Wynn. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries to be sent to consent. I'm sorry, that motion carries. We are on the consent agenda. We're going to move on to this consent agenda, which is items 6A through K. And would you like something accepted from that, Commissioner Lucas? Okay, okay. We'll take items A through J. At this time, I entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Oh, ceasefire.
Excuse me? Got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, nay. And we're going to move on to a separate item that was of importance earlier today, sponsored by Commissioner Paul Bronson. This is the ordinance of the Macon-Bibb County Commission dedicating that portion of Plant Street running between Jeff Davis Street and Mercer University Drive to Pastor Charles Jones in honor of his significant contributions to Macon-Bibb County and appropriating funds not to exceed $500 for the purchase of signage. Commissioner Bronson, I'll take that motion from you. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Second from
I
Commissioner.
just want the record to show that there were multiple sponsors. I didn't want the meeting to close without thinking I didn't support my good friend.
We got a motion and a
Yeah, I was
second.
trying to
Yeah, motion and second. I think Commissioner Bronson's going to say that, but we also have 10 total people sponsoring that I'm included. So, Commissioner Bronson, I'll hear from you now, sir.
Second, sir.
You ready to talk? You got your mic on.
Oh, so basically, y'all are silly, man. But no, we just want to pay honor to Pastor Charles Jones. As stated earlier, he has done amazing work here in the community, and we want to continue to take these opportunities to acknowledge the work that is taking place here in the city of Macon. Charles Jones basically was a pastor over in the Bellevue area, has done great work there, was also acknowledged by the White House under the Bill Clinton administration for his initiatives against drug usage in our youth. And as stated earlier, his slogan on that end was "Down with dope and up with hope." And we just want to continue to acknowledge the great work that he has done and continue that fight. There is still things happening in this community, in our youth, and we need to take notion to that, right? The same way that he went out in the fall and grouped up with different organizations and different community leaders to lead the charge on that. I think it's important on that end that we continue that drive. So it is an honor to stand before you today, sit before you today, and bring about such an award. And thank you all other commissioners and mayor for co-sponsoring this initiative. And we look forward to acknowledging them in that way. Commissioner Lucas, did you want to?
Thank you, Commissioner Bronson. I think,
Yeah.
go ahead. Chief
Yeah,
Kim.
I just want to say that it was an honor for me to serve with Charles Jones, Reverend Charles Jones. And as I said earlier in our committee, he kept a lot of stuff going on. He was quite comical, was just an inspiration, and took charge on a number of issues in the community. So it's my pleasure to sign on as co-sponsor.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucas. Commissioner Bell, would you have your light on?
Yes, just adding, coming from the Bellevue community, it would not be right if I did not say something about our Reverend Charles Jones on behalf of all of our citizens that he served. And I met Charles Jones when I was 7 years old, and he actually baptized me at Greater Bellevue Baptist Church. So he has been a great influencer of my family, as well as my grandchildren and my parents before I even got there. Greater Bellevue Baptist went from a church that had one room and one water fountain. And today, when you take a look at that church expands the entirety of the block, the front side of the block and the side of the block. So God has really, really graced Greater Bellevue Baptist Church, and Reverend Charles Jones was one of his initial founders. And I just want to make sure that I say that on his behalf, on behalf of all the dedication that he has given to our citizens in Bellevue. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. And we did mention earlier, we know that Reverend Jones is having had some health issues recently. We're going to make sure that we go ahead and set this thing up to take care of it all expediency. And we also want to make sure we send out our heartfelt prayers for him for recovery. So at this time, we do have a motion second. All those in favor of item K, please say aye. Opposed, nay. That motion carries. Thank you very much. That does conclude our items on the agenda tonight. We have some of his families here? Okay, well, y'all, please stand up and be recognized. Thank you for being here tonight. We thank y'all for being here tonight. Didn't mean to exclude you, but we certainly will continue to pray for you, and we look forward to coordinating an effort to reveal this sign out there. And thank you. We do not have a need to go into executive session, but we do have 4 people who have signed up to speak tonight for non-agenda items. And we'll go ahead and begin with our first person, Miss Andrea Matthews. Ms. Matthews, you still with us? Good to have you, Ms. Matthews. If you don't mind going to that podium and you'll speak into that microphone. You get up to 5 minutes. Don't feel obligated to take it all, but you're welcome to, because we're not going to share it with anybody else if you give up some time. But just step in front of that microphone and we'll start the clock running, and I'll give you a 1-minute notice if you start running long. And pour that microphone down just a little bit. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, members of the council and everyone. My name is Andrea Matthews. I live in the Cherokee Heights community of District 5. I'm a caring and concerned citizen. I've attended several meetings within the past few months, and I've listened to all the talk about the improvements that are taking place or that has taken place. I'm all for progress. In fact, I say progress is good. In order to progress, things have to change. And I want to emphasize that things have to change. That being said, I had the opportunity to visit our communities this past weekend. Cherokee Heights, Bartlett Crossing, and Unionville. There are serious issues in these communities. The overgrown lots, the overgrown curbs, and not to mention the dumping. This is what I saw when I visited these communities. It was sad, and that's to say the least. It was mentioned that there are 4 alleys that were to be closed off some time ago to possibly deter some of the crime and to possibly prevent some of the dumping. And it has not been done. The question is, why hasn't it been done? Commissioner, I know crime is at the top of the list, but crime is not something we can fix overnight. But clearing the dump areas, cutting the overgrown lots and curbs is something we can do at once. These are issues too. Please, do not tell me we don't have the resources. What about using our misdemeanor offenders that's sitting down in our local jails? We can use those to do community service. With all the improvements and spending that has taken place lately, surely some of that money can be spent on cleaning up these communities and neighborhoods in our/your district. It was said this is what you call redlining. Is it? I've learned that all the commissioners received $30,000 and that they could spend it on what they chose or choose to spend it on. I have to ask, Commissioner, what will you spend yours on, and what have you spent yours on? I know voting is within the next 30 days or so, but it should not take 30 days to remove the dumping, cut the curbs and the overgrown lots, or at least let the community see that this is getting done. These are not million-dollar projects. These are just simple projects and a step toward building and bringing the communities back. And you can't tell me we can't get this done. Let's start with these 2 little projects so we can see a change. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, but I'm speaking up for our community too. They say if you see something, say something. I got to say something. This is where we live. I know we can do better as communities, but I also know you can do better as our commissioner. Vineville, Ingleside, they look nice, real nice. Yet your other communities are being overlooked and neglected. When was the last time you actually came and addressed your neglected and overlooked communities? Cherokee Heights, Bartlett Crossing, and Unionville. Thank you for allowing me the time to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Matthews, for being here tonight. If you will take the time to let us know where the illegal dump is, we clean more illegal dumps in your area than we have in all of Bibb County. But I'm sorry that people disrespect your neighborhood from outside there to dump in your neighborhood, but if we're not aware of it, we can't clean it up. But if you'll send me an email or you'll do C-Click Fix, we usually clear a dump within 2 days. So if we know about it, we will clean it up. But we have to know about it. So thank you for being here tonight. We'll move on to the next person here. We've got Mr. Harold Johnson. Mr. Johnson, you still with us? Thank you for being here tonight. Mr. Johnson would like to speak about some drug addicts and squatters, sir. Thank you, sir. You got 5 minutes to talk.
Good evening. I'd like to say thank you all for the opportunity. Mayor, we think you're doing a good job there. I'm from the west side of town, Southwest graduate, Bloomfield. Over the last year, it seems as though our neighborhood has just been overrun by this one drug house that sits across the street from me. And as I look down the street each morning, it's like I'm sitting in a funeral procession. And the thing that is dying is my neighborhood. And to tell you that there are mornings I drive trucks, there are mornings when I have to leave out at 1 a.m. in the morning. And I know with the summertime coming, the traffic only gonna increase. I would like to thank Commissioner Bailey, who responded super fast when I sent her that email. I have been so frustrated over the last year I've had to. We lived there for 22 years, and our street, Lafayette, backs up to the entrance of the Sam's Club. And the squatter situation, that whole right side of the street, every time a family moves out because of their activity, someone else moves in, and each day I see new people that I have never seen before. And my wife said, I went and got some binoculars, because I'm trying to, really I need to know who these people are so that I can see them, and if something happened, I'm able to identify them. Because like she said, if you see something and don't say nothing, then, and I sent Ms. Bailey video. For 20 years, I lived at that house with no fence, no cameras, none of that stuff. Over the last 3 years, I've had to invest in video surveillance, fences, even got a dog now, because things are going so badly. And yesterday morning, as I was going out to work, I don't know if it was by accident or by design. As I opened my gate to back out, this pit bull runs up on me. And, well, I fired off one and he left. And I say that to say this. I've never had any nervousness about getting up, getting ready to go to work, as I have these last 8 months. I'm about to be 68. My wife's about to be 69. Although I could buy a new house, it's too late in the game to try to buy a new house. So what I need dearly is that, and also, fire department's been out there 3 times over the last few months. The ambulance have been by there 2 or 3 times at that house. Seen the police out there 1 time, but we just need some help. That's all. And I don't want to, like I told her, I don't want to hurt nobody, but I feel like I'm getting pushed into a situation where if I have to defend myself, I will, but I don't want to. I just don't want to, and that's all I want to say.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for being here. I appreciate your comments. I don't want to talk too much out here in public, but I will say that I received some information on yesterday about several addresses on Lafayette, possibly a drug house and some overgrown properties as well. But it just got brought to our attention, and I've already made a call to the sheriff who was here earlier and spoke with our code enforcement officers. I think you can expect some things to happen there. And you can tell you got a problem issue when people want to tell you the information but don't want to come forward with their name. And I appreciate you stepping forward tonight and letting us know that. So thank you for that information. But I will tell you that I can tell you the addresses off the top of my head right now because I remember them. Ms. Meredith, you here tonight? I almost didn't recognize you again. I think you're changing up on my hair again. Good to see you, Ms. Meredith. I know you don't want to talk about blight and public safety, so what else you got tonight? You got about 4 minutes.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor Lester Miller, my favorite mayor and commissioners. I'm here again tonight to advocate for public safety and blight mitigation in the city of Macon, and especially in Cherokee Heights, where I live. A few weeks ago, a widow whose husband was shot and killed came to this meeting and complained about police presence. It's serendipitous that she was here again tonight. Everyone knows about the Macon-Bibb police and firefighters EMT shortage. For public safety, EMT response, stray animals like pit bulls that make it unsafe to walk, and to prevent crime experienced by Dr. Rose Brown, who was here tonight. Constantly, there are advertisements for hiring, but as I shared with the widow, Dr. Brown, and her district commissioner at this meeting, the onboarding and hiring process needs to be investigated, examined, and fixed. No worthy qualified candidate will wait 4 to 12 months for placement. I have neighbors who are still waiting for the hiring team to contact them. For example, one candidate has been waiting for 4 months. She's been calling, and her application has not been processed because someone who was supposed to be processing the application was out sick, and the application was not reassigned or attended to in that person's absence. Another person's application for firefighter EMT informed me that after 8 months, the recruitment class is still not ready for new hire training. I implore this commission to investigate claims of hiring process issues for extremely needed public safety professionals. We can't afford such hiring delays, especially with the level of crime and issues that we face in Macon-Bibb. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Meredith, for being here and repeating some of the information you spoke last week. So I'll just repeat what I said last week, is we don't have any hiring restraints, and we've got a fast-track process. So the person that you claimed that waited 4 or 5 months, please have them call me, and I'll check on the issue there. We got one more. We'll say the best for last. Mr. Stanley B. Stewart. Good to see you again, Mr. Stewart. Surprised you want to talk about some East Macon concerns. So you got 5 minutes to talk, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to members of the commission. And above all, thank you to my fellow Maconites. I'm honored that the Fort Hill East Macon Neighborhood Association, as you see gathered around me, has asked me to speak on behalf this evening. I've worked closely for years with all of our East Macon neighborhood associations. For the sake of time, I've narrowed the concerns and recommendations down to 3 or 4 items. We will return at the next meeting with follow-up concerns for our beloved East Macon, with economic development at the helm of everything. The following items are 3 out of 4 properties now under the auspice of Macon-Bibb. Number 1, much-needed repairs to the Fort Hill Cemetery from the gate to the interior. Number 2, greatly needed sidewalks on Hawkinsville Avenue to secure that our youth and seniors are safe in their daily actions, and perhaps this will translate over to pedestrian safety on our exterior roads as well. Number 3, other recreational events at both Rosa Jackson Center and Dolores Brooks Park, i.e. pickleball courts. And 4th and lastly, an entire upgrade of the Willie Ballou Center, for it was named in honor of Officer Ballou, who was killed in a motorcycle accident, not on duty, of course. Plus, the Willie Ballou Center is the home to one of my former students and an MVP recipient, Ms. Charm Myers with Grow Macon, who is doing great things. In short, the Willie Ballou Center could be turned into a technology hub and resource center for the citizens of that area of Fort Hill. Mr. Hunt wanted me also to include, please, the resurfacing of Hall Street from top to bottom. Again, we mentioned these as recommendations to better East Macon, to better Fort Hill, and thus our precious city of Macon overall. Thank you to Commissioners Lucas and Bronson for your years of service to East Macon. We truly appreciate you all. And unrelated, thank you to those of you who have expressed condolences this last week on my little cousin, Brian Obama. Dr. Brown speaking tonight, it resonated with me a great deal. Brian was just 23 years old. And the McCrory and Obama families Truly appreciate you, truly. And thank you again for listening to the concerns of East Macon this evening. Thank you, and may God continue to bless our city of Macon, Georgia. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the business for the Bibb County Commission tonight. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday night, 6 o'clock on May the 7th. This meeting is hereby adjourned.